Good morning, scholars. Happy Monday. Today is Monday, April 20th. So excited to begin our new unit today on graphing and coordinate planes. Before we dive into our brand new unit today, I do want to start with some shout outs. As you remember, on Friday, you were assigned your first piece of spiral review. It was 21 questions. I did say you did not need to finish the whole thing on Friday. You did have Friday. You have all the way up until this Friday to complete it. And then this Friday, we will be starting another piece of spiral review. So it was not due yet, but I do just want to give some shout outs to some exceptional work so far. So these are our spiral review rock stars. These are scholars who took the initiative to, on Friday, when they had some extra time in math, they logged on to Illuminate after watching the video. They began their spiral review, and these are scholars who worked incredibly hard on their spiral review and so far have a really great score. From UNC, that is Jaden Emanuel, Tenby, Latasia, Andrew, Kamaya. From SCU, Corday, Adam, Giovanna, Ricardo, Abimael, Nevaeh, Jakira, Danya. And from Duke, Monica, Larry, Edwin, Yulidi, Dame, and Camila. Really nice work. Shout out to those scholars. I did already add some Vista virtual points, both for your great work ethic for getting that started on Friday, as well as for academic excellence for great scores. If your name is not up here, that's totally fine. You may not have started yet. It's not due until this Friday. That leaves you today, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So 5 days to finish it. It needs to be done by Friday, and then Friday you'll have another one turned in. I noticed that some scholars sat down and worked on the whole thing and finished the whole thing. That's great. Some scholars sat down and maybe did 6 problems or 7 problems. That's great too, and you can go back to it today. Just remember to click finish when you are all done so I can see your final score. Really nice work to these scholars. Additionally, I am so excited for today's unveiling of who has won all of the prizes from last week's Vista Virtual Point Challenge. So just to take a really quick look at the Hadley campus, these are our top earners as of Friday afternoon. Any points you got for spiral review did go into your account today, and so you may notice you've already started off the week with 1 or 2 or 3 points from great work on math spiral review. Still got a strong lead from Manuel. Take a look, see if you can find your name in the top 5. That means you're getting a free assignment pass in the top 10. Prizes for our top 10 scholars as well. In the top 20, prizes for scholars in those top 20. Looks like stopping right here with Nevaeh. You must be at social lunch today at 11:40 in order to claim your prize. And most exciting, be there for the drawing to see who wins the pizza delivery. I cannot wait to see who that is. If you are not a winner this week, no big deal. Start earning those points this week so you can win some prizes next week. Remember that for every point you have, you are entered in the raffle. So even if you only have 1 or 3 or 4 points, your name is still being entered into the raffle that many times. So everyone should be at social lunch to see if they have won the prize. And a quick look over at Maryvale. Again, we can see scholars here in the top 10. In the top 5, and for every point you have, you do get a raffle ticket. Make sure you're at your social lunch to claim your prizes as well. All right, let's go ahead and dive right into our brand new unit. We are starting a new unit today on graphing on a coordinate plane. Brand new, and taking a little bit of a break from our multiplying and dividing decimals. Don't worry, you'll still get lots of practice on that spiral review on your multiplying and dividing decimals. This anchor chart is going to be posted on your resource page, so a great place to go back as you're working on your assignments throughout the week if you need a refresher. This right here is called a coordinate plane. Say that with me, coordinate plane. Your turn. Excellent. A coordinate plane is made up of 2 axes. You have the x-axis down here on the bottom that moves horizontally, and then you have the y-axis right here that moves up and down or vertically. Take a second to actually make this with your arms. Think about your x-axis moving horizontally and your y-axis moving vertically. Where the two axes join, right here, this point is called the origin point. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in just 1 second. So we use a coordinate plane, our x-axis and our y-axis, to plot different points and to be able to find where they are. How do we know where these points are? If I want to know, well, where is A? Where is B? Where is C? Where is D? We use something called either ordered pairs or coordinates. So an ordered pair or a coordinate, it's made up of the x and the y point on the coordinate plane. The x always comes first, just like in alphabetical order. The x tells us how far to move horizontally or across, and the y point tells us how far to move vertically or up. I like to remember it as an x is kind of like a cross. So an x tells us to move across, and a y with its long, tall tail tells us to move up and down. Let's take a look at this point right here. Our ordered pair goes in the order of x and then y. We first move across and then we move up. In this example, our coordinates are 10, 6. How do I know where that is? Well, my first point is my x point. So I would start at the origin. All points start at the origin. And I'm going to move across. Again, I think about my x like a cross. I'm going to move across 10 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, I found my point for my x-axis, my x coordinate. But now I need to find my y coordinate. Well, my y coordinate is just the second number in my ordered pair. And here it's 6. 6 tells me to move up that y-axis 6 points. So I have already started at the origin, moved over my 10 points. Now I'm going to move up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is exactly where point D has landed. The ordered pair, or the coordinates for D, are 10, 6. We always list the points in the order of x, y. We separate them with a comma, and we put them inside parentheses. Let's take a look at a blank coordinate plane and see if we can try out some points ourselves. You do not need to write this down. You do not need to create your own coordinate plane. I just want you to watch and follow along as we do it right up here. So here is my coordinate plane. Let's go ahead and label our axes. This one going across. Again, I think about my cross like the x-axis. So this is my x-axis. And then going up and down is my y-axis. When I think about that letter Y, I think about it having kind of that long tail that goes up and down. So this is my y-axis. So I have an x-axis and I have a y-axis, this point that joins them. Does anyone remember what this is called? Exactly. This is called the origin. So I'm going to label my origin right there. All coordinates start at the origin. So let's graph some points. Let's start with the coordinates, or the ordered pair of 4, 2. Notice how I'm writing it. My x coordinate comes first. My y coordinate comes next. I put a comma in between, and I put parentheses around them. I'm just going to remind myself that this first point is my x, and my second point is the y. All right, so let's go ahead and find, we'll label this as point A. Let's go ahead and find point A on our coordinate plane. The first point tells me how many places to move across the x-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4. My next coordinate is my y-coordinate, and it tells me how many places to move up the y-axis. And here I have a 2. So I would move up to 2, and I can label this point as point A. Let's just double check that. My coordinate for point A was 4, 2. My x-coordinate is 4. My y-coordinate is 2. In order to plot that or graph that, I first go to my x-axis. I go to 4. And then I look at my y-coordinate, which is 2. So I go up to 2. This right here, 4, 2, is where point A is. Let's try another one. Let's graph the coordinate 8, 5. And we'll label this one as point B. What is my x coordinate in this ordered pair? Exactly right. It is 8. My x coordinate is 8. The first coordinate is always the x coordinate. So my x coordinate is 8. So what do I do with that 8? Am I going up 8 on the y-axis? No, I'm not going to get tricked. My first coordinate is my x-coordinate. So I need to first move across my x-axis over to 8. Now I can look at my y-coordinate. Well, what is my y-coordinate in this ordered pair? Exactly right. It is 5. My y-coordinate is 5. So I've moved over 8. Now I'm going to move up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is where point B is. I found that by moving across the x-axis to the x-coordinate and then up the y-axis to the y-coordinate. 8, 5 was point B. Let's try one more, then your turn to try some. Let's plot the points. Ooh, tricky one. Let's do 0, 6. And we'll just label this as C. All right, first we're going to ask ourselves, what is the x-coordinate? Everyone together, the x-coordinate is excellent. The x-coordinate is 0. And the y-coordinate is, everyone together, the y-coordinate is perfect. The y-coordinate is 6. All right, I'm ready to plot. I know first I find my x-coordinate across the x-axis, then I go up to find my y-coordinate on the y-axis. My x-coordinate is 0. Well, if this is 1 right here, 0 is actually right here at my origin. So I don't go over at all. But now I need to find my y-coordinate, and my y-coordinate is 6. So I'm going to go directly up the y-axis to 6. And my point C is right here on the y-axis because my x-coordinate was 0. So I still found my x-coordinate, then my y-coordinate, and that's where my point C is. All right, I'm excited for you to take a turn finding some of these points. Remember that this is called a coordinate plane. Go ahead and say that as I label it. Excellent. So you've just practiced saying coordinate plane. I know my coordinate plane is made up of my x-axis that goes across, my y-axis that goes up and down. Where they join right here at this point 0 is the origin, and I can plot points by looking at an ordered pair or a coordinate pair. I know the x always comes first, just like in alphabetical order, so my points always first give me the x coordinate, then the y coordinate. They're always separated with a comma and have parentheses around them. To graph these, I first find my x coordinate on the x-axis and then my y-coordinate on the y-axis. That's how I know where my points are. All right, I think we are ready to dive in. Let's now take a look at what some of these questions will look like. All right, for question number 1. At this point, you should have your scrap paper out. Go ahead and label this as question number 1. Some of these questions will be in your practice for today, so it's a great time to try these along with me. Make sure you have the correct answer. So question 1 is asking, use the graph to answer the following question. Which point is located at the coordinate 7, 4? All right, so I remember that when I'm graphing here on my coordinate plane, I see my x-axis is actually labeled for me. I see my y-axis already labeled for me. I know the x comes before the y. If I needed to write anything down to help me, I might just jot down. I know my order pairs go in the order x, comma, y. And so as I look at this point, 7, comma, 4, I know that 7 is my x coordinate and 4 is my y coordinate. So now let's look at our coordinate plane. I need to move across the x-axis. So I know my first point always tells me across, and then my next point tells me up and down. So I'm going to move across to 7 and then up to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I land at point C. I'm just going to double check that, x and then y, across the x, up the y, and I land at point C. So my answer for question 1 is C. I'm noticing that they were trying to trick me. What if I had mixed up the order of my coordinate points and I first went up 7 and then over 4? I would have incorrectly landed on the point A. Please be careful. We know the order of our coordinates or our ordered pairs goes x, y. I know I need to move across the x. I think about that cross for x before I can move up. So beware. They are going to try to trick you. I may have thought, oh, I moved up 7 and over 4. I'm at A. My answer is A. And that would not have been correct. So don't get tricked. Let's take a look at question number 2. All right, question number 2. Which of the following statements about ordered pairs are correct? Select 2 that apply. Okay, so here I notice I'm not actually looking at a coordinate plane. Instead, I'm going to read some coordinate pairs and decide which of these are correct. Let's take a look at choice A. The x coordinate of the ordered pair 3, 6 is 6. There is a 6 in this ordered pair, but wait a second. This 6 isn't the x coordinate. This 6 is the y coordinate. In fact, the x coordinate of this pair is 3. And I know that because I know that the x coordinate always comes first. If I needed to write anything down, I could jot down for number 2. I could just write my order of x, comma, y, and then check that against my choices. 3, 6. The y coordinate is 6, but this says that the x coordinate needs to be 6. So this is not true. I'm not going to pick this one. Let's take a look at choice B. The x coordinate of the ordered pair 5, 6 is 5. That's correct, because my first coordinate is my x coordinate, which is 5. If I needed to write that down, 5, 6, and I notice that the 5 is falling in the x coordinate spot. My x coordinate always comes first, and this says that the x coordinate is 5. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a check. Let's take a look at choice C. The y coordinate of the ordered pair 3, 8 is 8. If I need to, I can write that down. 3, 8. I know my x coordinate comes first, then my y coordinate, and yes, the y coordinate is 8. I'm going to give that one a check. I remembered I needed to pick 2 that apply. And finally, the y coordinate of the ordered pair 9, 5 is 9. All right, I already have a good feeling about this one, that they're trying to trick me, because the y coordinate of this pair is 5. 9 is the x coordinate, so this one is not correct. So my correct answer for question number 2, I have 2 of them. It's actually B and C. All right, let's take a look at one more. All right, question number 3. Which of the following statements about the coordinate plane below are correct? Select 2 that apply. Here I do have a coordinate plane to look at. I see points X, Y, W, and Z. I see my x-axis going across. I see my y-axis going up and down. Let's take a look at these statements and see if we can figure out which ones are correct. Choice A. The x-coordinate of point W is 2. All right, let's take a look at W. I might want to write some of this down. So I'm going to label on my paper. This is question 3. All right, let's take a look first at point W. And I'm just going to write down the coordinates for W. W, I know if I start with my x, so I go 2 and then up to 3. So W is located at 2, 3. Choice A says the x coordinate of W is 2. The x coordinate is 2. If I want to label my x, y to help me, I can, but let's give a check to point W. All right, let's look at point X. The x coordinate of point X is 6. Let's write down the coordinates for point X. Okay, it's a little bit of a tricky one. I know I start with my x-axis, but the x point did not go across the x-axis at all. In fact, it's still at 0. So my x coordinate is going to be 0. And then my y coordinate is going to be 6 as I move up the y-axis. So 0, 6 are my coordinate for point X. And choice B is saying the x coordinate is 6. That's not true. I can see how somebody may have fallen for that because they see x over here at 6, but luckily we're not going to fall for that. Okay, let's keep going. The y coordinate of point Y is 7. Let's write down the coordinates for y. I know I start with my x-axis and I'm going to go across until I get to 8 where I see y, and then up to 7. So let's write down our coordinates for y are 8, 7. And choice C says the y coordinate for point Y is 7. I do see a 7 in the y coordinate spot. Let's give that a check. And finally, check point Z. On your own, go ahead and write down the coordinates for point Z. Excellent. We should have gotten 10, 5, And choice D says the y coordinate of point Z is 10. It's not. That would be the x coordinate, so let's give it an x. So I know that my two correct points were W and Y. So my answer for this question would be A and C. All right, nice work. Now it's time for you to try some on your own, but we'll check in about a couple. Let's take a look at question number 4. Do make sure you have your scrap paper out. You will be writing down these answers. Your independent practice today starts with question 4. So questions 1, 2, and 3, you won't see again. Question 4, you will see again. We're just going to do a couple of these, but this would be a great place to make sure that you are on the right track, you know what you're doing, and you're getting the correct answers. Before we move on to question 4, I do just want to tell you a little bit, some new information about Watson. I did want to share with you that he has this routine every single night where before he can go to bed, he insists on having 2 Oreo cookies and some milk. I've tried to break him of this habit because I don't think eating cookies right before bed is a good idea. But no matter what I try to do, can't seem to break the habit. And so every night he has his 2 Oreo cookies and his cup of milk. He likes to dunk the Oreos in the milk and then he eats them. I do make him brush his teeth after the Oreos before he goes to sleep. That's one of his favorite parts of the day is getting in his bed and having his 2 Oreo cookies and his milk. So if you're worried you might forget that, I would go ahead and jot it down. What does Watson like to do before bed? Well, you know that before bed, Watson likes to have his 2 Oreo cookies and some milk. Write that down if you're worried you might forget. All right, let's take a look at question number 4. Again, on question 4, you are going to be seeing this on your guided practice today, on your independent practice today. So it's a great time to make sure that you know exactly what you are doing. Let's go ahead and label our paper as question 4. All right, question 4 says, use the graph to answer the question. Which point is located at 3, 6? Go ahead and find it and write it down. Five more seconds. All right, let's check in. On this question, it does not label my x-axis and my y-axis, but that's okay because I already know that this is my x-axis. I know I need to first move over on my x-axis to 3 before I can move up to 6 to get to point C. So my answer for question 4 is, of course, C. I am noticing that they put a tricky point in there. If I'd been mixed up and I had tried to go up 3 first and then over 6, I would have gotten to A, which is not the answer I want to get to. So let's make sure we're going in the correct order as we're finding these ordered pairs. All right, let's take a look at question 5. All right, question 5. So that point M is located at the point 6, 7 on the coordinate plane. I can check that. I see 6, up 7. That's where M is. Point N is located 5 units to the left and 2 units down from point M. What are the coordinates of point N? Interesting. This one's asking me to plot point N. So let's see if we can find that on our chart. Point N is located 5 units to the left and 2 units down from point M. So I need to go 5 units to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2 units down, 1, 2. And this is where N would be. Go ahead and write down the ordered pair or the coordinates for where point N would be. All right, so it's right here where my cursor is. I know that I have moved over 1 and up 5 to get to this point. So I would write down my ordered pair of 1, 5, over 1 and up 5. Let's check with our multiple choice and see if that matches. All right, so our answer for question 5 is letter A. All right, last one, and then the rest are on your own. Let's take a look at question 6. Which of the following statements about the coordinate plane below are correct? Select 2 that apply. Go ahead and try this one on your own. Make sure you have written down your answers. This is where it may help to just write down the coordinates for each of your points, reminding yourself that they go in the order of X and then Y. All right, let's see what we got for our ordered pairs. So when we took a look at where J is, we went over 2 and up 1 to J. Now choice A says the Y coordinate for point J is 2. That's not correct. Let's take a look at point K. Our ordered pair for K would be 7, 2. The X coordinate is 7. That is correct. Point L. Well, the coordinates for point L would be 4, 5. The X coordinate is not a 5, so that one is not correct. And finally, N. We have 10, 0. We first went over 10. We didn't go up at all, 0. So the Y coordinate is 0. That is correct. So our correct choices would be K and M, which means our answer is B and D. All right, scholars. This is where we're going to pause today. Your task will be, now that you are done with this video, you are going to open up your independent practice. You will notice that question 4, 5, and 6, we've already done. You already have the correct answers written down. And so everyone should be getting those first 3 questions correct. Then you have a few more to try on your own. Make sure you're noting where it asks you to pick more than one. As always, when you are done, you will go ahead and click submit and then mark your assignment as complete. Cannot wait to give out some more Vista Virtual points for assignments completed on time, for academic excellence. Cannot wait to see you at office hours today if you have any questions about graphing on these coordinate planes. Tomorrow, we're going to take it one notch up. It's going to get a little bit trickier. Best of luck. Enjoy this nice change from multiplying and dividing decimals. Cannot wait to see how well you do. And we'll see you tomorrow.